Don't chase the money, chase the value.
Right.
Chasing about, I want the highest dollar amount. I want to get paid all this money. When I changed it to, no, you know what? I just want to find someone I can give a ton of value, like learn from and a ton of value. These goals that they keep on pushing out, like in order for me to have the pretty girl or the nice car, I have to be doing $2 million a month or $10 million business or $30 million business in order to have that.
Right.
And for me, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I went to a point where I moved into a basement just to like focus.
Yeah.
And then from there, like in the first 6 months, made my first 6 figures.
Yeah.
Who would have known? These girls like just shooting themselves, like caption, I'm just stopping every man and saying, hey, sugar daddy, go buy me Gucci or something.
That'll work in Beverly Hills because rich dudes are horrible with women. They'll be like, oh, I think she'll like me. No, she's gonna be laughing at you.
Yeah.
Yo, welcome to the show. Have a seat.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let's get this. Jeremy J, let's talk Ecom. You got an agency. You were just telling me you took someone from 1.2 million in a year and you took their Shopify store to what, 33 mil?
33 million.
33 mil with 8X. This must have been a specialty product because usually I've been in the Ecom game, Shopify. If you can even be at 2X, you're doing well. 2 or 3, depending on how heavy the product is. But let me step back for a second. When you look at a customer in Ecom, because a lot of people want to know about Ecom, do you think it's too saturated right now to launch a Shopify store, drop ship? Because a lot of people want to know about drop shipping. They're like, I don't know how to get a product. I want to sell somebody else's. We're 2024, 2025. Is this thing too saturated or is it still wide open? Still early.
So I think it's kind of in between. If you're looking at a drop ship model, unless it's unique, I don't think they're long-term business models.
Yeah.
Versus, I like how you talk about brands a lot, right? Yeah. And we're moving into the brand cult.
Yeah.
So a really good orchestration that we do for our stores is we build around branding.
Yeah.
A lot of stores that come to us, they're just selling. Like buy now, buy now, buy now.
Yeah.
But there's no voice. There's no uniqueness. So when we come in and they have a really solid product, we give it a voice. We build that community.
Yeah.
And we get a loyal base.
Do you build a community like Reddit? Are you building Facebook groups? Are you doing it like what's your thing to build a community?
So most stores that come to us, they have like the social presence to a degree where you have like micro influencers just buying the product and they're just like, hey, this product is game changer. Like you gotta buy it.
Like shout outs.
Exactly. But they don't pay for it. It's pretty organic. So for us, it's great to capture that voice and really start amplifying it.
Yeah.
Right.
So reposting it on your Instagram, getting on your daily email list.
Exactly.
Like, here's what blah, blah, blah said about this.
Especially the email list. When we're orchestrating it, we extract their voice and we're just painting a very clear picture in the emails with the video attached. And then by now, like if they want to go through the product. And
do you like email daily?
Daily?
Or 3 times a week, or what do you find the best?
Right now, we're doing a lot of split tests in that. We did 2 a week and now we expanded it to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
We also did supplements. Supplements, I recommend the daily route, right?
Yeah.
That's been doing really well for us. And a recent test we conducted on the email side is versus doing once a day. What we did was we did 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
And a final call at the end of the night. So we essentially took the 7-day series and made it a 14-day series.
Yeah.
Very relevant to each
14
other.
message series. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we saw sales double.
Yep.
So then the next test was we did it for 90 days. And all we saw was it was about 176% increase in revenue with no one complaining.
Yeah. I can tell you this because I've owned huge Ecom. I've done hundreds of millions in physical products per year. And if you look at one of the kings of Ecom is Fashion Nova. They're hitting you. God help you if you ever join Fashion Nova's email list, Josh. This thing, I joined it. I'm like, I joined it just to watch the industry. He'll hit you 2 to 4 times a day. And if you do it right, it has true urgency. You hit on what I call the 39 triggers of persuasion, 39 different angles you can hit people from: authority, Kantian fairness, reciprocity, social proof, pacing reward. Then each email is really a different dimension of psychology. So people are still a lot of people under the stupid impression that email doesn't work, which is great. If it wasn't for the stupidity of other people, you wouldn't be able to get rich. If everybody knew how to make money, it'd be overly saturated. So yeah, I've seen that. SMS too. Have you made SMS work yet for any clients?
Yeah, they're doing really good.
Yeah. You don't want to hit people with 3 SMSs every day. That's a problem though.
It's funny. I bought your persuasion course in combination with your ecom course.
Yeah.
And one thing we did was we merged the concepts where we call
What year was that you bought it?
Man,
like
I think
19 or 18 or 17?
I think 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a good course. And one thing is that we see the ecom realm lack a lot is like how to use the biases.
Yes.
You know? And it's like, you know, if we put the urgency, you know, fear lost, keeping up with the Joneses, if we formulate that around the marketing, which a lot of stores lack, what would that do to sales? And that's like going to this to the 1.2 million to the 33 million. That was a huge component.
Yes.
So what we
just
did
adding
was
more cognitive biases. I call them the triggers.
Yes.
I used to call them cognitive biases, but that triggers is easy to understand. People have to be triggered to buy because nobody really likes sending money out of their bank account. Everybody likes money coming in. When people get paid every Friday, they're happy.
Yep.
The global happiness of the world when paychecks come in, like triples. People say money doesn't make you happy. Up to a point, it makes you happier. Not fully happy, but money comes in, people get excited. Money goes out, they're like, damn it, they better get something good back. So if you don't know how to trigger people with a strong enough cognitive bias, then they go, let me think about this.
Yep.
The second they think about it, they never come back.
Exactly. And I think that's where, like, going back to you were saying, like, if people were smart and they did the emails, like, that wouldn't leave a lot of room in the market. But it's like not in a bad way that, you know, our competitors aren't doing that for their stores is our opportunity.
Exactly.
You know?
Never, if you ever wonder why, or if you ever want to fix the whole world, you got to realize you fix all your competitors and your profit margin disappears. Now, what do you think right now is the most cutting edge thing? Any plugins you see in Ecom, any Shopify plugins, any analytic, any heat mapping, anything you like that you can share that's kind of unique that people are like, I'm glad I watched this podcast.
Oh man, I tell everyone this season one, leveraging ChatGPT.
Yes.
You know, AI, pulling your customer database psychographic, and also leveraging the seasonality within the year. That has been a huge game changer for all our companies. Just because is a really good example, and I know you talk about this a lot, is in Mother's Day, for example, what do you see in your day-to-day or the average Joe? Teddy bears, chocolates, red, pink. Now, if you were to create an ad to resemble chocolate, teddy bears, or red or pink, despite what you're selling, the customer is going to see this, or the prospect is going to see this like, this seems familiar.
Yeah.
And if your competitor isn't doing it,
you're
winning at least 1% or more on the basis of you seeming familiar despite them never seeing you.
Yeah.
Once you hop into the offer page or the landing page or the website, we theme it out to fit what they're experiencing in their day-to-day.
Yeah.
We see conversions skyrocket.
So you're saying just following the local holidays.
Correct.
Yeah. We would do anybody making money online, you should have on Gmail, you can check the box, show holidays. You should be looking for every holiday. Like, watch this, ChatGPT. There'll be one rando holiday. And if you're hitting Ecom hard and you have a global audience, what's 3 crazy holidays today somewhere in the world that are so random in some little country like Burundi, Africa or something that I could do for my e-commerce and say, happy lobster, day or something. Okay, it's mail order catalog day. It's also bad poetry day and helium discovery day. It's like you go to chat. It's like if I'm doing e-com selling I could be selling an e-bike. I could be selling a vape. I could be selling an iPhone cover. I'm like, in honor of helium discovery day, we're blowing away prices. Like the same, like that works. That's called reason respecting bias too. When people need a little nudge to buy, they're like, remember, the number one thing, it's very interesting. Sigmund Freud was asked the 3 biggest breakthroughs in human existence. Okay? 3 biggest discoveries. Number 1, he said, is when people like, Copernicus, Kepler, all these people discovered the Earth wasn't the center of the universe, that the whole universe didn't revolve around the Earth, because all of a sudden it made humans realize we're not the center of the universe. We're not narcissists, or we shouldn't be narcissists. We are, but we shouldn't be. Number 2, he said, big human discovery was that animals, we're not above animals. Okay, that was Darwin. We're not above it. That was for its lifetime. All of a sudden, wait, humans are just another group of animals, another species. Homo sapiens, wise. That's what sapien means. But the third one was, Freud said, pretty cocky, he goes, I discovered that most of human behavior is driven by the unconscious, not the conscious. So when you're selling an ecom product, most marketers are appealing to the conscious mind. So like Ty, you can't use National Helium Day to do a lift, because consciously people will be like, oh, I don't care that I'm not going to buy this product because it's National Helium Day. But the unconscious mind just needs a reason. So that's subliminal messaging. Hypnosis is all operating past the conscious mind, which is only 5 to 10%, getting deeper into the back of the brain. Or, you have the limbic, autonomic, you have the brainstem, cerebellum, medulla, all these parts. You only have one logical part. That's the median prefrontal cortex. I mean, that's the main. It's not that you only have one. So yeah, I've learned that same thing. It's like hit people with a reason to buy, and and then you can say, only 8 hours left for Helium Discovery Day. It's true. Like in 8 hours, it's going to be the next day. So if you want to buy these socks, we're going to deliver them to you in helium balloons. So give me a little background on you. How old are you now?
I'm 29.
29. So how'd you start? Because now you're making, do you say how much money you're making or minimum?
Right now we're doing about 600K. That's what we're taking.
Yeah. Or a lifetime or a year.
No, that's for the year.
Okay. So you're at 600 this year so far?
That's net profit.
Nice.
Last year was our highest month. We did 1.2. Our projection for this year is about 1.8 mil.
Gotcha.
And we've been up for about 2 years in the ecom space.
Good. So you're netting $1 million. It's you and your partner?
Yeah, I have a partner.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good. I mean, you're in your 20s, netting $1 million or more. That puts you in the 100th of 1 percentile of the world. Probably 1,000. Let's actually see. How much do you think you'll net this year, you and your business partner?
This year, we're projecting around 780, 810.
Each?
No, as a whole.
Okay.
And my partner's my partner, my actual spouse.
Oh, it's your spouse. Okay,
Yeah.
we just do it as a unit.
Yeah.
How much will your family net this year, you think? 800?
My family?
No, you and your wife.
Around 8.
Okay.
810.
If you're making $800,000 at age 29 and you live in, what state are you in?
Tampa.
Oh, that's right. You're in Tampa. You got to get out of there. You're in Tampa, Florida. What percentile of income in the world are you? Just guesstimate. I know in America, over 400,000 ChatGPT is in the 1 percentile, top 5. What is that in the world? 810,000 if they net this year. You'd be in a very high percentile, it says. In the US, you'll be in the top 1%. Globally, you're in the top 0.1%.
Wow. That's
good. So you go from 1, so you're now in the 1/10 of 1 percentile. Nice.
What's your thoughts on, because with a lot of entrepreneurs that I've networked despite the event.
Yeah.
Which is whoever missed it.
It was good for you? You met some good people at the party?
I've been through a lot of events, and your event, you had like $10 billion worth of revenue in that party. Yeah. It was insane. And also the minds and the learnings it was unreal. And I was telling one of your guys, like, they missed out. Yeah. So for the next one, like,
I'll put a link to, you go to tylopez.com. We have the events link at the top. Don't miss these. I'm basically opening up the mansion here once in a while. And I had about, I think, 420 checked in. I just in my backyard. I don't open up this house. No one was in the house, but the backyard's big. I think we can hold 1,000 people outside. But I just had, not all at once, about 400, I think, is what checked in. But it's not how many people show up. It's the quality. Yes. There was a lady there. Her and her husband are worth maybe 2 billion, 1 to 2 billion.
Yeah.
She's an interesting person. But what were you saying? You said you learned something.
Yeah,
You had a question about
a lot of the entrepreneurs I would talk to is they have these goals that they keep on pushing out. Like, in order for me to have the pretty girl or the nice car, I have to be doing $2 million a month or a $10 million business or $30 million business in order to have that.
Right.
And for me, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Especially with leverage these days.
Yes. A lot of successful dudes still have crazy limiting beliefs. I mean, some of the wealthiest people in the world have wacky beliefs. So just because you're wealthy doesn't mean you have good beliefs around health, wealth, love, and happiness. A lot of wealthy people have good beliefs around wealth, but they suck at love. Be careful listening for love. Be careful listening to health. I had some guys in the backyard that were wealthy dudes, super good at business, and they were taking everything with business and trying to do it in their physical health. And we were all working out together. I had my trainer. I was like, "You want to have a meeting with me? I make people just work out with me." You did it too the other day, but the day before when you weren't there, and they were all talking about biohacking. And if you take this nootropic, and if you take this in intermittent fasting, and I was like, "Bro, you can't even do 10 fucking push-ups." Like, you have a limiting belief that you should start with TRT, HGH, HGC, ACG, blah, blah, blah. He's got, and I said, first, no belief is more important than the fundamentals of health. You got to have some cardiovascular. You got to have some VO2 max. So when it comes to business, don't listen to dudes almost ever about dating. They have horror, especially rich dudes. I've never met a wealthy guy that's good with women. None. They're not even average. They're almost always subpar. The only way you really in life get good at lots of stuff, you have to study lots of stuff. Yep. My mentor used to call that the Michael Jordan rule. Michael Jordan studied basketball. He became arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. And then he's like, I'm athletic. I'll become a pro baseball player. Dude, he couldn't even hardly make the minor leagues. My mentor used to say, people are successful, think that their success extrapolates into every field. It doesn't. You want to be good at baseball? You got to put in your 10 or 20 years studying baseball. So when I meet most entrepreneurs, they studied business. Of course, they don't know about health. Of course, they don't know about love. Have you studied psychology? There's many branches of psychology. You can study evolutionary anthropology, like Dr. Helen Fisher. You can study evolutionary psychology, like Dr. David Buss. You can study, old school. You can go Freudian or Jungian. You can go back. You can go Darwinian, Lamarck. You could keep going back. You go Aristotle, Plato, but you have to study to show thyself approved. So my advice at my parties is ask people advice in their lane and then do the opposite of the rest of their advice. If a rich dude ever gives you a piece of advice on women, do the opposite. Trust me. Name a dude who's on the Forbes list, modern time, that had good dating advice. Nobody.
Yep.
It's kind of bizarre. I mean, if I could tell you all, people are always like, Ty, are you in the Illuminati? I'm like, no. But I've been around what people think is the Illuminati, like some official group. No, but I've been around the inner circles of some of the most powerful people in the world. It's a lot of nonsense. So you don't need $30 million to find love. That's completely false. In fact, if anything, you would want to find love before you made 30 million so you can know that the girl really loves you.
Yeah.
It's tougher once you have 30 million because then you're going to have every BS gold digger that flies into Beverly Hills. That's why I don't meet anybody in Beverly Hills. It's like, where do you live? Beverly Hills? Okay, you're auto disqualified. Why'd you move here as a single person? Because you're looking for money. I'm looking for somebody that's like never heard of Beverly Hills.
I saw a viral, these girls like just shooting themselves, like caption, I'm just stopping every man and saying, hey, sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Go buy me Gucci or something.
That'll work in Beverly Hills because rich dudes are horrible with women. They'll be like, oh, I think she'll like me. No, she's going to be laughing at you.
Yeah.
If you're a rich dude, you should use your money for common sense things. For example, there is a woman that you like and you're like, yo, I am going on a trip to Costa Rica, and I'm going to go jet skiing or something. And she's like, I'd love to go, but I can't. Sorry. Tell me how it is. Then you can be like, hey, well, I can get you a ticket and we can go. That's a healthy use of money.
Yeah.
She didn't ask for it. She can't go without it. Then of course, male or female, that would be normal. But yeah, Beverly Hills is a bunch of dudes. They start and meet a girl and it's like, yo, I can get you a Birkin bag. Great. You automatically go in the sucker category in her. How would a woman respect a man that has to open with that? If you're opening, that's like going to make friends and you're opening line with a bunch of dudes at a Super Bowl party, or like, hey guys, I'll get you some Nikes if we hang out. Like these dudes, even if they take the Nikes, they're gonna be like, I'm automatically gonna think this guy sucks, because why? No, any dude who has to offer that is that's specifically the dude you don't want to be your friend.
How many of your high-level business friends have come up to you and say, hey, Ty, like, I like this girl, but, you know, they're just kind of experiencing the whole, it's not really love.
Yeah, that's how I told you. Most of my private clients, I got people that pay me. I have two levels. I have a $100,000 level, and then I have like $1 million level. I've had that since 2016. Some people go, I can't believe someone paid you $1 million. I'm like, well, if I told you people pay me $1 million and that made back 30 to 40 million, you wouldn't be surprised they paid me $1 million. But they're all bad with women. It's one of the traumatic things of me. I mean, not that I'm perfect. Nobody's perfect. But these dudes are bad. It's one thing to like, I'm decent at basketball, and another thing to be bad. Remember Philip Seymour Hoffman in that one movie? He's like, where he plays Along Came Polly. Have you ever seen that one where he's like, rain dance? That's that clip. We got to put that clip in here. That is how wealthy dudes are with women. It's not that they're decent at basketball, average. They're basically retarded. So there's some inversely correlated wealth creation thing with social skills. You see that a lot. So, you know, it's like for my kids, for your kids, for your grandchildren, for your great-grandchildren, you'd rather your kids or great-grandkids or 10 generations from now, I'd rather my offspring be social and high IQ. If you had a choice between your kid, you don't have kids, right?
No.
Yeah, but you're going to have kids at some point? Okay. Mm-hmm. Would you want your kid to be the wealthiest person in the world but have horrible love life, horrible health, horrible happiness? Or would you rather him be worth 10 to 100 mil, him or her, and be happy, friends, pillar of the community, respected by people? Like, So you got to give that advice to yourself. Take the advice you would give others. That's why whenever you have a hard thing in life, be like, how would I counsel my best friend on this? Do that for yourself. Women or dudes are like, should I break up with this girl? I'm like, what would you advise your friend to do? And he's like, oh, I would tell him, get away from this woman. She's crazy. I'm like, okay, then you do that. You do that. The amount of times we don't follow the advice we would have given our friends is crazy. Yeah. So, yeah. Keep them in their lane, man.
Right. Until they learn the hard way. It's like,
yeah, but that sucks. I like what Richard Dawkins said about learning. Because you ever heard people say, well, you only let people make mistakes. You only learn through mistakes. But Richard Dawkins wrote the #1 best-selling science book in human history. It's called The Selfish Gene. Wrote it, I think, in the 1970s or 80s. He was my first podcast guest, by the way. It's crazy. I somehow got Richard Dawkins on in 2012, audio only. It was before Apple didn't even have podcasts back then. I forget how I did, or YouTube didn't have them. There was no. It was like, so I talked to him, and I remember reading his book. He said, organisms that learn only through trial and error lose to organisms that learn through simulation, because trial is costly and error is deadly. So what he was saying is people that can simulate mistakes without doing them themselves, they always make more money than dudes who have to make mistakes, lose it all, because every time it takes you a fucking decade to get back. If you notice the wealthiest people in the world, like Zuckerberg, the man made no mistakes. What mistake did Zuckerberg make? He turned down $1 billion in, I believe, 2005 or 6. He was offered $1 billion for Facebook. He said no. A lot of people said he was an idiot because nothing had ever sold for $1 billion at social network. Nothing. MySpace had sold for $500 million. This is the first $1 billion. He was right about saying no. He paid $1 billion for Instagram, the most an app ever sold for. Everybody said he was wrong. He turned out to be right. He paid $17 billion for a 30-person company called WhatsApp. Everybody said it was too much. Turned out now he owns the largest telecommunication company in the world, bigger than Verizon. He has 1 billion people a day. Now, 1 billion people a day ain't using T-Mobile or Verizon. He has 1 billion using WhatsApp. So the man doesn't miss. And he's the only human in history to be worth 100 billion under 37. So you're kind of wealthy in proportion to your mistakes. Do you simulate them in your mind and then never do them? Or do you have to stick your hand in the fire and lose a couple fingers? Or can you just go, me saw other man put hand in fire. Me no like, me no do. Caveman. Some dudes got to put their hand in the fire. I started telling some of my private clients, you know what, bro? I don't like to say I told you so, but I don't mind it either. I'm like, I fucking told you. I have a private client. I told him exactly how to negotiate a deal to buy a company. I even told him, use a lawyer to draft the LOI, the letter of intent, da-da-da-da. I said it'll cost you $25,000 for the lawyer to do it right. Instead, he didn't listen to me. He didn't have the proper confidentiality clause. He was buying a company for about $5 million. But the owner, once he got the offer from my private client, told everybody about it. Somebody just offered me $5 million. 10 other people offered on it. So now the price went up to $7 million. So because he didn't listen to me, spent $25,000 on good lawyers to put a good confidentiality clause in the letter of intent, he gets to pay $2 more million. So I told him, don't come to me for sympathy. I'm not that guy. I'm not a life coach. I'm like, I fucking told you so. So next time I tell you something, listen, you know. So I've made those mistakes too. You got to learn the hard way. I hate it. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. You don't want to be learning the hard way. That's the poor way.
I think actually going to the initial question, like, you know, what got me in here?
Yeah.
Listening. You know, for me, when I listen, I find what works really well is taking fast action. So what indoctrinated me into the marketing world was I got hit with one of your ads.
Okay.
And you were talking about don't chase the money, chase the value. Right. Like at that point, like that version of me was chasing about, I want the highest dollar amount. I want to get paid all this money. When I changed it to, no, you know what? I just want to find someone I can give a ton of value, like learn from and a ton of value. And then I did that. I found someone, worked for free for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I gave it my all. Outperformed their whole team.
Yes.
And all I wanted to do was just show up and just give them the value. It wasn't about the money.
Yes.
You know, I went to a point where I moved into a basement just to like focus.
Yeah.
And then from there, like in the first 6 months, made my first 6 figures.
Yeah.
Who would have known? Right? Just from something so simple.
What year was that?
That was 2018.
Yeah. So you got in what you saw one of my ads and you're like, yeah, I tell people you get paid in proportion to the difficulty of problem you solve. You get paid in proportion to the value you bring somebody.
Yeah.
Bring no value, it don't matter about your resume. If people go, my life was just as good before I met this person, why am I paying them? It's crazy. I reacted. I need to react again. Have you seen this video with this woman? She's crying about her diploma. It's like it went super viral, like 30 million, 40 million views on Instagram Reel. She's sitting there and she's in a car and she's basically crying. I mean, I guess I kind of feel bad for her, but I feel bad that nobody ever told her the truth. She's like, I have a master's degree, and on top of that, I have these 3 certifications. And I was like, you don't get paid for pieces of paper.
Yes.
I don't know who lied. I know who lied to you. Colleges are for-profit organizations. People think universities are saints. We wouldn't do anything that's not in your best interests, Susie. Yes, spend $25,000 a year. I got off an airplane a couple of years ago, and Azusa Pacific, no offense if you went there, but this is nonsense, had a billboard outside of LAX. It said, come to Azusa Pacific, some little college outside LA. I was like, Google it. It's $40,000 a year, 40,000. Or if you want the cafeteria plan, $48,000, which I'm sure is horrific food, by the way. You get paid to get poisoned. So I said, whoever got 48,000 times 4. Let's just call it 200 G. Whoever thought and you got to waste 4 years of your life in opportunity cost. Now, if you're becoming a medical doctor, okay. But people are out here getting English degrees from Azusa Pacific for $48,000 a year. I'm like, people sometimes like, Ty, are you a scam? I'm like, let me take you to a billboard, brother. Let's drive down to LA. You want to know what a scam looks like? I teach people, I have SMMA course, which is basically launched the most entrepreneurs in modern history. It was $1,000 for 16 weeks of training from me, who's done social media. That was my 15th year doing it. Made hundreds of millions. Okay, and I had all teachers in there. And it was a $1,000. And people were like, is that a scam? I'm like, I got a billboard for you. Let's go to LAX. We're going to do a field trip. Let me show you the anatomy of a scam. $48,000 a year. I mean, $48,000 for the whole degree is nonsense. But $48,000, add insult on the injury, that's per year? Azusa Pacific's never reached out to me for a comment. I'm sorry. I had some people that went to Azusa Pacific that were like, bro, you're destroying my college. I'm like, well, I got to call a spade. My bad. I didn't hunt them down. They hunted me down with their billboard. So I had to comment. But yeah, this girl's out here crying. Oh, I know the world doesn't give me what I deserve. I was like, but you bring no value.
Yeah.
You just brought a paper. Nobody in the history of mankind's ever been like, you know what's missing in my life? People with pieces of paper walking around. You know what sucks? I need another person with a piece of paper diploma around me. Nobody's ever said that. People said, I need someone to help me grow my business, marketers. People said, I need somebody to sell, closers. People said, I need people to write emails, copywriters. People said, I need a website, designers, tech people, devs. People said, I need surgery, medical doctors. You know what I'm saying? So you got to put yourself, this woman was lied to and not told. She has to put herself in a position of everything I touch turns to gold. And that's what you did. Yeah. I taught that. I was like, at the beginning, when you build your agency, just show you're the best, and then they have to hire you.
Yep.
You make the most money when people can't live without you.
Yeah.
Think about it. If people can't live without you, they can't fire you. They might fire their wife. They might get divorced, but they'll be like, I got to keep that guy. That guy runs my ads.
Yeah.
So all you have to do to make money till the day you die is have people with money say, I can't live without that person. I can get rid of my dog. I can get rid of my wife, but I can't get rid of that guy or that gal because they run shit here.
Yeah.
And they got to say to themselves, by the time, maybe I could replace them, but by the time I figure out what they know, that'd take me a year and they'd be a year smarter. I'll never catch up to them.
Which is what I find also interesting is when I left that, like I gave up like $200K.
Yeah.
And there was this one thought is like, oh, like I'm irreplaceable. Yeah. I'm curious to hear your thoughts is that time for me, it readapted to like being like having the mentality of I'm in this business, I'm irreplaceable. I was the top performer I was building.
Yeah.
Right. I left. But then I realized like for businesses, like in a degree, some people are replaceable. So Absolutely. For me, that challenged me to, I got to start compounding skills and get ahead of everything.
Yes. You said it right. One skill set is possible to be irreplaceable. It's only people who stack skill sets. That's why there's huge layoffs at big companies for people that have supposedly amazing skills. Oh, I'm a computer engineer. I'm a dev. But are you a dev who also knows marketing? That person's more irreplaceable than just a person with a single skill set. If you're a medical doctor now, you know what makes the most as medical doctors? People know a little marketing too. The Dr. Oz's of the world, these doctors that also know how to post on Instagram. The Dr. Pimple Popper, I read she's making $7 million a year from YouTube, just monetization, because she gets so many views on her popping pimples. So she's down here in Orange County making $1 million, let's say, from her. I don't know what she makes, but I would estimate her dermatologist makes $500,000 to $1.5 million because you're limited in your time. Then she makes $7 million from her YouTube channel. She is bringing more value to the market, and therefore she makes $8 million instead of $500,000.
What's your thoughts on the Haktua, right? Like
the Haktua girl.
You know what I'm saying? Like
she brings the value of entertainment. People get mad. Ty, it's not fair that Kobe Bryant makes more money than school teachers. Well, I can't comment on what's fair, but I understand why. There's one 6'6", extremely fast twitch muscle, extremely skilled and focused basketball player. And there's 1 billion people play basketball, and he arguably was number one. And there's a lot of school teachers. So you also get paid in proportion to the value and then how rare it is. So the Haktua girl, if you watch her, she's actually pretty quick-witted. You see her on it. It's not like she was a moron with just one line where she just went, what was it? I don't know. You got a Haktua, whatever the hell she said. She actually, I've seen her on interviews. I saw a new one. Did you see this new one she's saying? Oh, man, what is it? Something about a hole. It's pretty funny. But she's kind of, you get paid. J-Lo's not the best singer. Madonna wasn't the best singer, but they're entertaining.
Yep.
And people go to a concert to be entertained. Taylor Swift's the most profitable musician almost of all time. Is she as good a singer as Beyonce? Is she as good a singer as Aretha Franklin? Is she as good a singer as Christina Aguilera or no, but she's entertaining. And she knows how to market. She knows how to build a cult following. I'm not surprised. People get mad that Taylor Swift makes all that money. I'm like, I'm not going to speak to whether it's fair, but I understand. I could even predict that without ever meeting him. So Haktua girl is entertaining, and therefore she will make money. But if that's her only one trick, is occasionally saying a quick line, she'll be gone in a year.
Which made me think about the Australian breakdancer in the Olympics.
I commented on that. Right now, they are shadow banning anything you post. Blatantly about that ray gun thing. I can't believe, I shouldn't be surprised. But to pick that one topic is ridiculous. She's not a good breakdancer. It has nothing to do with male or female gender. There's insane. I believe it or not, I competed when I was 12 years old at the California breakdance competition. So I used to break when I was young, right? I wasn't world class, but I grew up watching every kind of breakdancer. And there's amazing female breakdancers. Everybody knows that. Men and women around the world respect a good breakdancer. She won't good. And so to turn it into a whole male versus female and disrespect thing is nonsense of the highest and civilization destroying nonsense. If I got up there and didn't know how to break, what if I joined the NBA basketball team and got out there and was just average? Of course, people are going to laugh at me. You know what she should have done is run with it and let it make her famous. Oh, I would have leaned into that and been like, oh yeah, I knew what I was doing. Look, I became the most famous woman in the world. I would have looked at the camera and gone, I saw her doing a nervous breakdown video. I said, lady, you can't fight the world. If the whole world chooses to laugh at you, you got two choices. You can have a mental breakdown, A. B, just go, because everybody would respect somebody who looked at the camera and go, guess who we know? You can't argue with success. So if you just turn to the camera and be like, oh, you suck, you go, but I was the most famous person in the world. I turned that into a book deal. I turned that into a TV show. Like, boom, then game respects game.
Yeah.
People are like, the biggest mistake was you can't fight the world. I've had people, when H3 put out a hater video on me, at first I was like, let me just watch what happened. Then I just was like, what if I just roll with the punches? I had my team message him, can we do a second follow-up podcast at my house? I lived across the street. He shows up. I was like, let me just be goofy. I had like 3 lawyers that worked for me. They were real lawyers. I was like, just follow me around. I pretend I was in Illuminati. I just like, I was like, I can't fight at that point, H3 was a pretty powerful channel. So I was like, what if I'm just normal? And dude, all the hate went away, 100%. And Ethan on H3 like texts me sometimes like, yo, what's up? And I was like, oh, that's how you get in something like that. It's like Bruce Lee said, become like water. Water adapts to the cup. So if you're the breakdancer girl and you're like, I'm a bowl, and the world tries to put you in a cup, you better be water. You're going to get destroyed.
You know, it's funny too. Like you have some people like trying to defend it too. There was this one professional breakdancer. He's like, I'll teach other people how to breakdance. I actually coached an Olympic team. He's like, with breakdancing, it's all about uniqueness and everyone's unique in their way and ability.
That woman is not coordinated. Athletics is all coordinated people. You don't go athletics. If you break it down, if aliens came that were higher intelligence than humans, they would understand what sports are. They're a display. And this has happened. There's a great book by James Michener. It's historical fiction. So it's based on, and it's called The Caribbean. It's about the pre-Columbus tribes that lived. I'm 9% Puerto Rican. So I'm always interested in things related to Puerto Rico. It's all about the Puerto Rican. There was the Taino Indians, the Caribs, these tribes, right? And they had games of sportsmanship and display. They would play like these, they were kind of like lacrosse games, you know, the Iroquois Indians in America. Every civilization has games because it's a mating ritual for women to see which men have the best genes, and the most beautiful women with the best genes and the best family and the best intelligence, they want to mate with the man. And so men display it through sports or warlike rituals. We call it football now. We call it baseball. We call it soccer. We call it lacrosse. We call it hockey. And by the way, it has the same appeal. If you want to know who gets a lot of women, I have some friends who play for the Lakers. I'm not going to say anything. They are not lonely men. So at the Olympics, that was a display of low coordination. It had nothing to do with being a different style. It was a low coordination human, and we don't really want to watch that. We watch the UFC, we're watching John Jones, we're watching Conor McGregor. These men have tremendous, you watching basketball, you're watching Steph Curry. Steph Curry arguably would probably be the number one human ever to walk the planet in hand-eye coordination. I'm not sure. I just had Dominique Wilkins, Hall of Famer, NBA player. The most hand-eye coordination person probably ever walked this planet would be Steph Curry, the basketball player. Not perfect. I'm not saying he's the best basketball player, but if you brought that up, most pro players would be like, I could see that. Or Kyrie Irving too, Durant, all these great players. But we watch sports because it's our modern day Avengers. Before there was movie theaters and AMC theaters showing you, what was the movie? Deadpool and all this stuff. There was sports. There was Greco-Roman wrestlers in the Olympics out here picking up boulders. There's a Viking. There's still a log. I went to Iceland. There is a log in Iceland that no one's picked up since the 1500s. But they have the name of the Viking who picked it up. It was like a 1,400-pound log. He walked like 12 steps. That's what I want to watch. You think I want to watch a dude who can pick up a 40-pound dumbbell and walk? That's what that Olympic display was. So, I mean, I thought, I was sure it was a joke. For plus, I was like, this is genius. But they didn't lean into it, man. I used to make funny videos where I'd be like, Zach caught me with fake cars. Remember I would do, because people used to say I just rented the cars for a day. I'll have to do, people will say that this is an Airbnb I got for a day. I know how the game is. I already know how to play the player. So I'm like, when the players come, I'm ready for them and just roll with it. When people hate on you, there's three good responses. One, in general, say nothing and move on. If it gets too much, you have to respond. So it's like a decision-making tree. If somebody in your family is, an asshole to you, you have three choices. If they're a family member that just you see once a decade, ignore. It's as simple as Dr. David Buss and I talked about the Harvard, evolutionary psychology. Best. Now, there becomes a time, let's say you see this person every week, and let's say that person starts gossiping within the family about you. Now you have two choices. One is to confront nice, funny. One is to confront mean. In general, the next decision is, should I ignore? Yes. No. Then do I start out nice, mean? Generally, you would start nice. And then if they continue to escalate, then in game theory, it's called tit for tat. It's computer simulations have done the best human behavioral predictive pattern. Then you would get real mean.
Have you seen the crab in the bucket, right? Like the crab trying to climb out the bucket, but then the other crabs will pull down.
Yes.
You were telling me the other day about let's just say you're raised in Los Angeles, right? And you have your family here. Mm-hmm. That's like the tribe. But in order to become like more, right? It's like, Lord of the Rings, going out in an adventure to experience and grow and, come back battle tested, right? I've done a lot of work internally about understanding like whose opinions are like what opinions are mine and the choices I make versus other people's opinions and the choices they want me to make. And just putting out like a bridge between that gap.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to totally do it. Culture does matter. People will tell you, whenever I see somebody being like, oh, I only wear these outfits for me out in public. And you're not going to ever, humans are too social creatures to be ever able to turn off all outside opinions from affecting them. You just need to balance it. There's something, Freud called it the super ego, which is the cultural ego that tells you, no, you should be Judeo-Christian if you're born in America. If you were born in Iraq, or if you're born in Pakistan, the super ego is Muslim. So the general vibe that's in your head, and it can even be somewhat genetic, we know now, but let's say environmentally, the super ego, if you're Pakistani, is like Islam is the path to God. If you're born in Atlanta, Georgia, it's that Jesus Christ is the way. So you're not going to totally get rid of the super ego or cultural imperatives. But what you got to do, because some cultural imperatives, some things about Islam or Christianity could be actually helpful. So you don't have to throw all of culture or other people's opinions out. What you basically have to do is spend 80-20 rule. Make sure 80% of the time you're listening to people worth listening to. And so but you're always going to have that 20% of nonsense. You can't filter every Instagram video. You can't filter every piece of news. You can't filter every family member who shows up at Thanksgiving. So you have to be enough resilient that you can be like, but what you can't be resilient is if it flips and 80% of the people at your family reunion are mean to you and only 20% are nice. Then you need to not go to that family reunion. Or you need to show up with bodyguards and be like, we're about to beat everybody's ass who's mean.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that in America. It's too many lawsuits. But if you live in Brazil or something, you'll be fine. But for those of you watching who live in Nigeria, you can show up and be like, all of my family members, you always bullied me. I got money now. I hired these 17 mofos. Anybody who's me at my party, they're going to smash you in the face. That might be a valid response. You know what I mean? So for those of you listening, I got the show notes, books I talked about, articles I talked about, science I talked about. We'll try to put a Sousa Pacific link in there so you can see I ain't making that up. But if you want to talk to Jeremy, if you're doing physical products and you're you work with people already doing about $1 million.
Give or take.
Yeah. And you want to scale from $1 million to more than 10 million. Go to TyLopez.com/JeremyJ. TyLopez.com/JeremyJ. That'll take you to the show notes and also a link to his website where you can sign up. And it's just like do a phone call with them. This is only for people doing $1 million. We'll put your Instagram on there if you want to follow Jeremy J too. Did you put your wife on your social?
No, I don't.
You don't? You get more views. Families should, if you can. I was speaking at a castle in Cannes, France. I go once a year to this castle. They let me stay there. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like this place, but it's a smaller version. Europe's not as big as America. This house is big, 25,000 square feet. It's like a 6,000 square foot former castle they fixed up in Cannes. It's beautiful. And I was there, and there was a husband and wife like, help me grow. I consult to people really wanting to grow their personal brand, social media. So I look at her and I'm like, your average reel's doing pretty well. Average one's getting 100 G's. Every time it's you and your husband, did you notice you're getting 2 to 4 million views? She's like, oh yeah. But I call it the plague and the sickness of entrepreneurs. She found what worked and stopped doing it. So she posts once a month. I said, post all of them. She's like, well, then I'm building the brand with my husband. And I'm like, can't beat the market. That's what the market wants. Do what the market wants unless it's illegal, unethical, or expensive. It's not any more expensive to put your wife in. So, now if your wife doesn't want to be in, then that's a whole nother conversation. But sometimes people just have random rules. Try it. Try it. Don't tag her. That's the most important thing. You don't want dudes hitting on your wife. Don't tag her. No tag. I see dudes out there posting girls they're with, tagging them. No. Unless you're a cook and you don't mind dudes hitting on your girl. No tago.
Yeah. Going back to the data, right? Yeah. I tell a lot of people, try not to be opinionated.
Yeah, exactly. Let the numbers talk to you. Mm-hmm. That's the lessons of the Olympic breakdancing. She wanted the world to perceive her, but the world is never going to watch that video and go, that was pretty good. 1,000 years can go by. And people will watch that and be like, oh, that was a comedy skit, right? And so you want to be on record as, oh yeah, I was just joking. And by the way, I can get a time machine and go back in time 1,000 years. It could be the Yanomamo tribe in the rainforest of Brazil, where they're living hunter-gatherers. They'd be like, what do you think of this? And they'd be like, no coordination. No good. Look weird. But if I showed them a real breakdancer, it'd be like, wow, what is that magic? Dude, there's a breakdancer, dude. This guy has some kind of handicap with his legs, so his legs are super light. Like he almost has like muscular dystrophy. It's the most mind-blowing, like in Japan, they have this annual breakdancing conference. He can do push-ups where his legs are straight out, not touching the floor, and float around. So I could go back in time 1,000 years, show that dude, or I could go forward and people will be like, interesting. Me, caveman, Neanderthal, 300,000 years ago when humans started. People were like, good, no good. A lot of people are like, beauty is cultural. No. Danny DeVito, I take him back in time. Any tribe, anywhere. And you take back Brad Pitt. They're both wearing a loincloth. Ain't no women mating with Danny DeVito. Ain't no women. They're like, Brad Pitt, good. No, good. All tribes in all places. Many things are more universal than we think. Many things are more universal. Coordination's universal. Facial beauty's pretty universal. Body type. Of course, there's tribes who like a little bigger a butt and a little smaller a butt. But no tribe like me like no butt. No, men like butt because it displays that you're healthy, and also your butt is your largest muscle group. You're kind of from here to here on the front and the back is your largest muscle group in the lower body. Yeah. So why would a woman or a man want to mate with somebody whose kids aren't going to have powerful muscles? It's just like why women like chest and shoulders on the upper body. This whole part, which includes the lats, the deltoids, the pecs, that's why women look at that more than they look at forearms. Now, forearms are good because they're a functional muscle, but you'll see more women be like, oh, like women will touch. Very few women go up to a dude and go, oh, wrists. But men, like Ray Charles, beautiful women oftentimes have thinner wrists. So Ray Charles was blind. He knew exactly he was picky and blind. People say, oh, looks is cultural. The man couldn't see the culture. And he was still like, nope. You got them thick ass wrists. Nope. He was looking for the finger test. You want to be able to put the fingers all the way around. Now, for a woman watching, if you have thicker wrists, don't blame me. That's what Ray Charles would do. I'm sure there's many dudes that are into thick wrists.
You're going to have people on dates just, nope, not happening.
You think? Ray Charles was onto something. Ray Charles was onto something. Just like women. I saw that. You seen that show where it's a dating show and they both have blindfolds on and they go real quick? I saw the best dude. He gives everybody a hug. And there's a woman who has this beautiful voice, and he went to hug her, but he couldn't get his arms around, and he was like, pass. I was like, none of the other dudes went for a hug. They were trying to listen to the voice. Like, oh, you can't always go by voice.
You seen the balloon one?
Yeah, the balloon one. Yeah, but that one's different. This one, they're both blindfolded, And another lesson from that I saw is there's a different show where they can see each other. So the woman comes up and she says pass or keep or something, right? And a dude walks up to her, and he's a great-looking dude. Like, I'm straight, so a guy has to be really good-looking for me to know. So I was like, this dude's good-looking. Okay, every guy knows that competition. You're at the club, one dude comes in, you're like, oh, fuck, not this guy. This guy's good-looking. Okay, that dude comes up. Of course, the woman says, keep. Then another dude comes up who's like decent, but he was a poet. And he did his little good poetry. Not that Olympic breakdancing level poetry. He did this good poem, and you could tell this girl was about to say pass, and he hypnotized her, and she was like, keep. And I was like, this poet dude, who's a 6 or 7 on looks, she's already in love. The 9 or 10, women are not as visual as men. They are visual, but not like men will date a moron who, if she's pretty enough, men, if she's ambulatory, means she can move around, and she's good looking enough, she could have no other redeeming quality. I'm talking, she could have bad, although smell is one thing, even the most shallow guy, assuming she smells okay. She could be the most boring human to ever walk earth. The lowest IQ woman. But it's not the same for women. Women are you could be the best looking dude if she might sleep with him a few times, but if he's brain dead, doesn't know anything, women, I can't tell you how many women will be like, man, I used to date this supermodel guy in LA. After a month, I was like, I can't do it. You rarely see men do that. They'll just add him to the roster. They add him to the roster. Take this girl to the movies. I can look at her on the way there, but I don't have to talk to her. You got your movie roster woman, but women kick them out of the roster. Women kick them out of the roster. You're out. So women got a little more what we would call substance, although it's all the same from a scientist standpoint. You're looking for, it's called proxies for things you pass on in the genes. So what's the most heritable physical and internal characteristics? IQ, height, musculature, and hand-eye coordination, social skills, EQ. So women generally are looking for a man. It was my first course I ever built. It's so sad. In 2012, I recorded a whole course. It was the algorithm of the woman's mind, 12 factors she instantly tries to assess in any new man. And what I was and I lost it. This was before Dropbox. Dude, I have searched for it. And that's how I met Dr. David Buss. I gave a talk at a conference on the same subject. I had recorded these videos, and then it's gone. My COO, we have searched for it. I can't even remember what the damn 12 are anymore. But it was even Dr. Buss, that's how I met him. He's like, oh, this is good. He just was like, you're missing one. 13th is status. That's why now, by the way, I do have a course called 13thesis.com. I'll put it in the show notes, or it's 13 thesis. I have 13 thesis for a man. But yeah, women are very algorithmic, so are men.
When you say status, can you explain? I know you brought it up. The Jeff Bezos and his wife with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, you got DiCaprio, maybe the number one sex symbol of the last 20 years, like Titanic. Women like DiCaprio. Then you had that number one of the last 20 years wealthiest guy consistently, Jeff Bezos. Last decade, he's been consistent. And you have, I forget what Bezos' girlfriend's name. And they're at like the Academy Awards. And DiCaprio walks up and she sees, and there's a picture. It's like Jeff Bezos kind of like, hey, what about me? What about me? I'm the richest man in the world. And she's just like, she's side-eyeing Bezos, who's just looking at DiCaprio. And because, look, think about the algorithm of the female mind. Does DiCaprio have money? Yeah, he's worth about $300 million. That's enough. You don't get more props. That's such a myth. You don't get, women can be gold diggers and they can be materialistic, but they're not, they have like a threshold. So being worth 300 million and good looking is always better than being worth 300 billion. Women don't perceive the difference. Not at all. Not at all. Elon Musk is not getting more DMs than DiCaprio. Not even close. If I was a betting man, I'd be like 1,000 to 1 ratio. What Elon's getting is a lot of DMs from dudes. So if you were gay, you want to become the richest man on earth. Because dudes are like, how can I do business with you? How can I partner with you? So if you're gay, you could get a lot of male dates. You'd be like, yeah, let's meet for a networking dinner. But if you're a straight man, you got no benefit over 10 mil. Unless some wacky, few Eastern European whack job girls will care. Like I remember I had a girl, I'm not going to say which, this is a bad sign. I was supposed to go on a date with this girl. She showed up my old place. I had a 6-car garage, had 2 Lambos, a Ferrari, a Maserati, never get that car, and 2 Rolls Royce. And she's like, ew, is that this is in 2016. She's like, ew, is that the 2014 Ferrari? And I was like, the fact you know that disturbs me. I didn't go on a date with, I didn't even say it to her. Don't say that to people. Just know it. I was like, do you want to date a girl that knows it? They don't even change Ferraris. They change the mirror design. It wasn't like it was a clunker in 14. It was still a Ferrari. They add a mirror streamline. And so no one who knows the difference. So you actually, with DiCaprio, he's got the looks. He's younger. He's taller. Actually, DiCaprio's not tall. I've been around DiCaprio in real life. He's like Justin Bieber. They're not tall. That's why I say guys a little bit now. Social media is all about how women like tall guys. Yeah, if you give the women a choice between two identical clones, one guy's 5'10 and one guy's 6'2, she's going to take the 6'2. But since there are no identical clones, they're going to take Justin Bieber's like 5'8", 5'9". So is Conor McGregor. A lot of the heartthrobs, Johnny Depp's not 6'2. Keanu Reeves not 6'2. So that's why I said the reason I should put this 13, I'm going to put a link to 13 Thesis. I wasn't even planning to promote it. Guys need to know, it's like, look for evidence of stuff. Don't just listen because it goes viral and girls are like, oh, well, he's not 6'6". There are a small subset of women that ain't dating you if you're not 6'6". There's a subset of women, but it's not that big. It's fuck that. There's 4 billion women. You can't date them all. So there's a huge pool of women. Now, if you're like a 5'2" guy, you need to move to Vietnam, bro. I'm just going to tell you right now. I will give you, if you're absolutely wacko shorto, okay, you're 5'2", you're hitting Vietnam. I'm like, do you know how to say some Vietnamese? How's your Filipino Tagalog? Blah.
How tall is Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart's like 5'4".
Like 5'4", right?
He's a little man, but he's worth $500 million. And if he wasn't that wealthy, he needs to be on the Philippines playing. But he's the number one comedian. Yeah, but I was talking about 5'. He ain't 5'2". 5'2" is a whole nother level. Or you got to get on Game of Thrones. Peter Dinklage is like 4'6" or something like. He does okay. But men overestimate not knowing that there's 13 factors. And so if you're not that tall, like DiCaprio, like Conor McGregor has good musculature ratio, right? He's broad shoulders, small waist. You know, he kind of has the diamond shape. And so he has fame. I think he's almost a billionaire. But he has status. So if you ask me about, this is what status is. You walk up, did you see this video where one of the wealthiest kids in the world of the billionaire, he was in France at cons and he walks up to the place and like, they wouldn't let him in fast. He's like, do you know if you have to say, do you know who I am? You don't have status. If you find yourself at a club going, do you know who I am? Then you don't have status. Status is you walk up to the club and the bouncers go, undo the rope and you say nothing and walk in. Some cities I have that kind of status. Some cities I don't. So fake status, do you know who I am? If you're having to explain your resume, you don't have status. DiCaprio wasn't like, I know you're dating a richest man in the world, but do you know who I am? No, she saw him from afar and was like, Jeff, hold on. Jeff, it's been good to know you. So yeah, status is multivariate for women. And remember, men and women are different. Men have to compete on 2 planes. It's called intersex and intrasex competition. So a man has to compete for women to make women like them. And then man has to compete with other men for resources.
Gotcha.
And women have the same thing. Women have intra-gender or sex. I like to use intrasex and inter. So women, that's why women are catty with each other. God help you. If you dating a woman who's 35, you ever bring her to a damn house party where it's all 25-year-old women, she's going to kick you in the nuts. She's going to be like, ew, this is the worst party ever.
Yeah.
Of course, because women compete around youth.
Let me ask you, when you were growing your brand, right? I think a common theme with like building a brand, especially when you're using yourself, right? What was your experience like when you started getting the recognition everywhere? Like, hey, you're Ty. Yeah. Hey, you're Ty.
It's cool at first, but it's better to be famous probably with women. It'd be more fun to be John Mayer. me being recognized by every dude who wants to be an entrepreneur is cool for about 2 weeks. I'm like, oh no, got to talk to every random dude who wants to tell me their ding dong. So I got $1 billion idea. No, you don't. So I start telling people, I would cut you off right there. You'd have been better off to come up to me and say, I have a $100,000 idea. I'm more willing to listen to you. You don't have $1 billion idea, or at least not one that somebody else isn't already building. But it's okay. It's a mixed bag. You know, I'm an experimenter. I liked being famous as a test. That's why I didn't do as much social media the last couple of years, because I'm like, it's kind of like been there, done that. You ever heard that? It's like, I'm not that into being well known that I would make it a core part of my life. I do like it when it's helpful. Like I can go out in London and there are places I go where for sure the bouncers are like, open the door. LA for sure. I'm the most famous in California. Partially it's because people think of me as an LA guy, but so it's useful sometimes. But you got to make sure you never say the phrase, do you know who I am? Even if you're famous. One time I was at a club and I couldn't get in somewhere in San Diego, and I almost said the phrase, do you know who I am? And I'm like, I'm going to punch myself in the face right now because I will never be the douchebag who says that. So it's good. That's good enough. You want to be a 7 of fame, not a 10, not a 1. Men will be happy around 7 to 8.
You say like most actors are 10s?
No, A-list actors. Donald Trump's a 10. Right now, he walks out. If you're a 7, you get recognized every week anywhere you travel in the world. If you're an 8, you get recognized by a stranger every day. If you're a 9, you get recognized every hour anywhere in the world you are. And if you're a 10, you get recognized every minute. Donald Trump's a 10. Okay? Justin Bieber's a 10. I've never been a 10. I've been a 9, though. I've been recognized every hour. I've been the most Googled person. I've been in the top of Google Trends. It means you're the most Googled person on Earth or in the United States. So I didn't really like a 9.5, way too high. You want to, for me, an 8 to 8.5 is a good sweet spot. That's why, like, I let my hair grow out. I don't always wear glasses. I can drop myself down to like 7.5 or 8, even a 7, you know. And also some countries like Brazil, because of the language gap, not that many Brazilians, they don't speak English. So very few Brazilians have watched all my stuff. So part of why I like Brazil. If I go to any English speaking place, pretty much I'm recognized a lot. Australia, Scandinavia, England. But there are countries like Brazil, they never watch my videos. So it's like a niche. If I post I'm in Brazil, people will show up to my hotel. But walking down the street, it's great. I'm a 5. I'm just a regular dude. So that's fine. I go to my farm a lot. My farmers don't recognize me at all. I had one neighbor ever. He's 92. He goes, I like that video you posted. So I guess occasionally, but I also spend a lot of time, my Amish neighbors, they don't have electricity. So the Amish have no idea what Instagram is. They do not know. No email, nothing.
At what point do you avoid someone trying to break into your house and taking your car?
Guys with guns outside my house. That's the best. Machine gun of the day. My guy used to do, and now I have the same thing. You got to have dogs and guns and security and alarms and lasers. My man, I got to go to jiu-jitsu. Thank you. TyLopez.com/Jeremy J. It almost sounds like you're a rapper. We'll put the link below. I'll see you there.